Hi guys, and welcome to this vlog. We're going to be talking about the Trudi Canavan Black Magician Trilogy. You probably can't see. There you go. Now, this series of book is a fantasy series about a girl called Sonia, who's a slum girl who realizes that she's got magic and accidentally untaps the potential herself. This doesn't happen very often, so it proves that she's very strong magically, but it does result in all of the magicians going to look for her and find her in the slums. Why that's happening, I don't want to go too much into exactly what's going on in the books, because I don't want to spoil them. I actually think they're really good. Now, there is one of the big themes in this is the division between the houses and the city folk and the slum dwellers, just because they've got such different views on things. The people in the city and the highborn houses obviously run things, but the people in the slums get the short end of the stick. Now, without telling you too much about the plot, there's this thing called the Purge, where every year the magicians help kick all the beggars and stuff out of the city and into the slums again. And it's there that Sonia throws a rock at the shields of the magicians, breaks through and knocks one of them out, which is when she and everybody else realizes she's got magic. It's quite a good series just in terms of looking at that disparity between the poor and the rich, but it's also very good in terms of just being one person's attempt to survive and prosper in an environment that really isn't suited to them. They don't, well, whether the people themselves, half of them don't want her there. Obviously she gets, and she, right, the first book is the Magician's Guild, the second one is the Novice, and the third one is the High Lord. So I think you can figure out pretty quickly that she does end up at the Magician's Guild. So there are a few problems. I'm not going to say it's flawless. For first, the pacing in the first book. When I was first reading it through, I ended up skipping forward just to check and see whether or not she actually got into the guild, what was happening. There's 2 or 3 close misses, and you think, oh right, finally she's going to end up to the guild, we're going to get to find out what's going on, and then they miss her, and she gets away, and it gets a bit tiresome, but it's worth reading through, and I'll tell you, she does end up at the Magician's Guild eventually. In the other problems it has is in the second book onwards, Daniel ends up as an ambassador and has his own storyline. And first read through, I don't remember it being a problem, but reading through them again now for like the 3rd time, it was a bit tiresome to go, oh, come on, can we please get back to the action? Oh, and at the start of books 2 and 3, it recaps all of the important stuff that happened before in terms of character and plot. Pardon me. And not in a way that's any use either. It's not like it's in it's just a section at the front that says previously in this series, in case you didn't read them. It's actually interwoven into the story. For like the first 10 to 20 pages, you just get bits where it's flashing back and telling you the same information over and over. Now I can see why it would be important to put a bit in there, but they're all clearly labelled at the top. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but see, it says the Black Magician. It's book. Who picks up a trilogy and goes, oh yeah, book 3, I'll start there. It makes no sense to keep putting this information in the starts of the books. But apart from that, it's really well done. You've got different types of magicians, different types of magic, which all boils down to you've got the potential within yourself and you release it in different ways, rather than having this sort of traditional learn a spell, cast a spell, spell goes away, you have to learn it again. Right. Now on to the one thing that I find always comes, certainly with the friends I've got, always comes up when you're talking about fantasy books, and that's sexism. Now, on the one hand, you've got Sonia, who is a strong, capable character. She is resourceful, she's able to get herself out of problems and danger, and ends up fighting off whole groups of people for various reasons. And she's very, very good. But throughout the rest of the books, most of the characters you'll meet who are in a position of power are male. Now, within the guild itself, there's a certain explanation to that. For the most part, you get more male magicians than you get female magicians, because they all come from the houses, the high houses, who sort of hoard they hoard the women in those houses for political marriages. It's more a sort of way the world works rather than a specific, oh look, here's women and they can't do anything. And there's also a section in one of the books where two of the high-ranking magicians are debating how to get more of the female members of a few of the houses into the guild, because each house decides who it will send to the guild. But a few other good things. Sorry, sticking with the sexism for a sec. The real glaring one for me is that pretty much all the teachers that you meet in the guild are male. I don't think there's a single actual female teacher of magic. And of the people in charge of the guild, you've got I think there's somewhere in the region of 10 people who are actually higher magicians. They run the guild, and of them, one is female, and that's the head of the healers. That's not exactly a stretch now, is it? And on the surface, again, you think, okay, it's just a division between the slums and the High Lord position, not the High Lord, the lords and their families. But in the slums, you meet thieves who are well-respected criminal organisations that help the slum dwellers get on. They loan money, they help out. Now it's made very clear they help the people in the slums. They're someone you don't go to unless you have to, but they're not sort of out to just make huge piles of money. They make a loan, they expect to get the loan back with a reasonable amount of interest, not extortion or anything like that. But they do deal in the dark side of the law. Every one of these thieves you meet is actually male. There's not even any hint of female thieves that I can remember. It's been a while since I've read all the way through the High Lord. I'm still halfway through it, so I will come and correct this later, possibly with just a little text thing down here saying I am an idiot. I mean, there is one sort of glaringly obvious thing that I wanted to point out. All of the thieves have names that are animals. They're not animals in the real world, they're animals in the books, but it's cleared very quickly what they mean. And one of the main characters who you meet very, very early on is named Serini, which is a small type of rodent. So not only did his mother choose to name him after a small rodent, but he happens to live in a city where all of the high-ranking criminal overlords, well, not overlords, but the criminal people, have names that are animals. I wonder if you can see where this is going here, or if you'll be surprised when it happens. Probably not now, if you weren't before. But yeah, I actually think it's a really good series of books, and it's well worth a read. If only just to pick up the Magician's Guild. It's an easy read. It's not something you're going to struggle through. I would suggest pick up the Magician's Guild first. Obviously, have a look through, see if it's what you want to read. Beyond that, I think we're done. So yeah, go and have a look at them. Tell me what you think. Put a comment in here and let me know. See you next week for the next review.